I'm going to order that venue be transferred to a county outside of the 14th Judicial Circuit, because I believe that the defendant cannot receive a fair and impartial trial in Colleton County. I'm making this ruling in pursuant to the South Carolina Code 172180, and it's supported by case law. That would be state v. law, where the circuit court retains the power to transfer venue outside of the circuit where a fair and impartial trial cannot be had. So I'm transferring it not only from Colleton County, but out of Colleton County completely. I find that the defendant has satisfied his burden under State v. Manning, where he's demonstrated actual juror prejudice. And unlike the ordinary pretrial publicity case, the evidence before this court is based on the actual results of the voir dire conducted in this case in the January 2023 trial. Fewer than 1 in 7 prospective jurors were qualified to serve, demonstrating an extraordinary degree of community exposure and prejudice. Second, under Reamer versus U.S., the interference with the jury process by an officer of this court is deemed presumptively prejudicial and cannot be measured by any voir dire. Ultimately, the decision to change venue lies within the sound discretion of the trial court, providing that a showing of actual juror prejudice is made. This ruling rests on 4 grounds. First, the exceptional rate of juror disqualification during the January 23 jury selection. Second, the community prejudice arising from the size of the county and the long-standing association between the defendant's family and the 14th Circuit. Third, the South Carolina Supreme Court's determination that the former Colleton County Clerk of Court improperly influenced the jury, depriving the defendant of his constitutional right to an impartial jury. And fourth, the form of publicity surrounding this case. There's case law that says I can't transfer something just for publicity. That can be cured. But with the 4 grounds that I've just stated, I am transferring it. Further, this ruling is supported by the court's recent order in Beach v. Parker that I just read yesterday that Judge Kelly, I was interested in his order. I did go read it. There, the court found that the moving party made an affirmative showing that a fair and impartial trial could not be had in Hampton County due to the extraordinary pretrial publicity and the surrounding litigation. The court concluded, other than publicity, the settlement of the wrongful death action, the criminal prosecution of Mr. Murdaugh, the defendant in this case, including his reversal by the clerk of court. The same publicity and public attention that justified transfer in Beach is present here and further supports this court's determination of a change of venue is necessary to protect the defendant's constitutional rights. Further, I'm going to find that under Section 172185 is not an adequate alternative. That procedure would require Colleton County to bear the substantial cost of transporting, housing, feeding, and securing an out-of-county jury throughout a multi-week trial. More importantly, it would not remedy the prejudice identified by this court or eliminate the concerns arising from retrying this case in the same community where the constitutional violation occurred. I find that there's no lesser remedy that will adequately protect the defendant's constitutional right to a fair and impartial jury. The court rules venue is transferred outside of the 14th Circuit. I'm going to reserve my ruling to the specific county in which this matter will be transferred. Let me tell y'all, it takes a village to get this case transferred. For those of you who don't know, there's a lot of other things besides walking into a courthouse and sitting down and trying to try a case. We have to consider security, transportation. Is a courthouse adequate? Is there lodging? There's also docket considerations that have already been set for next year. There's a bunch of matters to consider. So what I'm going to do is I will think about it. I need to look at it. I will tell you, Mr. Waters, you are correct. Cost is a concern because Colleton County does bear the cost of the retrial in this case. Colleton County is not a rich county. It's a poor county. So that will be at the foremost of my thoughts when I transfer this case. I was in hopes that the two of y'all could agree on a destination, but since that's not happening, I will decide and I will let y'all know. I will issue an order. I will do a formal order on my transfer of venue and also will designate the county into which we are going to try this case. Okay? Any objections?
None from the state, Your Honor.
Perfect.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.